The ignored warning, the galaxy was wide, filled with countless stars and endless empires. Yet in one corner of space there was a small blue planet called Earth. Humans lived there. They were young compared to other species. Their history in the stars was short, but their warning was loud. Stay away from our region, do not cross our border. The Galactic Empire heard this warning many times. It came in every language. It was broadcast on every channel. Every probe or drone that moved close to human borders carried the same message back. Do not enter. Earth does not welcome you. The Council of the Empire laughed at this. They thought humans were arrogant. One minister spoke. A small world dares to command us, the rulers of 1,000 systems. Another answered. They forget who controls the stars. Perhaps they believe their little ships will frighten us. The admirals of the Empire mocked the message too. They met in their great halls filled with banners and flags. Humans are nothing but dust, one admiral said. They only reached the stars a few centuries ago. They do not know real war, another added. They never faced fleets that can block the sun. The emperor listened and nodded, his golden robes shining under the lights. Send a fleet, small but strong, let them see the power of the Empire, he ordered. The decision was made. A scout fleet of 10 warships prepared to leave. These were not the Empire's largest ships, but they were fast and armed with heavy cannons. Each one carried crews trained for battle. They believed it would be an easy task, enter human space, show strength, and return with glory. Citizens filled the streets to cheer the departing fleet. People threw flowers as the ships rose into the sky. The Empire's news channels broadcast the event across every system. Earth will bend, the reporters declared. Our fleet will silence their arrogance. The scout fleet crossed the invisible line, the border drawn by humans. The first days were quiet, too quiet. Space around them was calm. Stars burned bright, but no human ships appeared. See, they fear us. The admiral laughed, sitting in his command chair. Their warning was nothing but empty words. Yet one of the pilots whispered to another, "Then why do I feel watched?" Strange signals began to touch their sensors, faint, like whispers in the dark. A small beacon blinked once and vanished. A wave of static ran across their screens. Then silence again. Ignore it, the admiral ordered. Their toys cannot harm us. But the pilots grew uneasy. Hands tight on the controls, eyes wide as the shadows around them seemed to move. On the second day, one ship was gone. No explosion, no warning, no trace. The crew searched the screens. They checked every radar. Nothing. Must be a malfunction, the admiral said, though his voice shook slightly. No enemy could touch us. But hours later, another ship vanished, then another. Panic spread among the crews, voices rose. Something is hunting us. One officer cried. Nonsense, the admiral shouted, though fear now lived in his eyes. The fleet tried to retreat, but the stars themselves seemed to twist. Navigation systems failed. Maps scrambled. Their path home was gone. Then it came, a sound across every channel, a low hum that grew stronger. A voice spoke through the static, calm, cold, and merciless. We warned you, it said. You chose not to listen. The ships shook. Alarms screamed. Weapons fired blindly into empty space, but no enemy appeared on the screens. Invisible strikes crushed their hulls, tearing metal apart. Pilots screamed as fire spread through corridors. Engineers tried to keep systems alive, but every second another ship fell, until only the flagship remained. The admiral sat frozen, sweat running down his face. He whispered, "This cannot be, they are only humans." And then the voice came again, soft and final. Earth remembers. Earth defends. The flagship shattered in silence. Pieces of burning steel drifting across the void. Back in the Empire, the Council waited for their scouts to return. Days passed, then weeks, but no signals came back. No ship returned. At first they called it a delay, then a miscommunication. But silence stretched on, longer and longer. Perhaps the humans are not as weak as we believed, one minister whispered, but arrogance was stronger than fear. The emperor slammed his hand against the throne. They dare destroy our ships. Then we will bring the storm of the Empire upon them. Across the Empire. Orders spread, greater. Fleets began to gather. Thousands of ships fueled, soldiers armed, the people cheered again, believing Earth would soon be nothing more than a broken stone in the dark. But deep in the shadows, humanity was already watching, already preparing, and waiting with fury. And this was only the beginning. First contact with fury. The great Empire could not believe the silence. Their proud scout fleet had vanished without a trace. No signals, no survivors, no wreckage to study. It was as if the ships had been erased from the stars. But arrogance is stronger than reason. Instead of fear, the council chose pride. Send a real fleet, the Emperor declared. Not 10 ships, but 100. Let them burn the human sky and bring back proof of our glory. And so, the drums of war echoed across the Empire planets. Massive warships lifted into the dark, their engines glowing like suns. Soldiers filled the decks. Their chants rose like thunder. They believed it would be a victory to be sung for generations. Citizens filled arenas to watch the launch on giant screens. They raised banners and shouted, "Crush the Earth." The Empire's leaders promised them trophies, promised them stories of conquest. The fleet crossed into human space. The same, invisible border where the first scouts had vanished, their weapons ready, their shields bright. The admiral leading them was confident, his voice echoed across every channel. Humans think themselves strong, but they will tremble before us. The crews laughed, their hearts full of arrogance, but deep inside some wondered, why had the first fleet never returned? The first hours were quiet, only stars and silence. Then small beacons appeared again, blinking once, then fading. Ignore them, the admiral commanded, but the pilots whispered, they are watching us. The fleet pushed forward, engines roaring. And then the first strike came. It was not a missile, not a laser, but a stone, a rock moving at impossible speed. It pierced through the shields of a destroyer, smashing it apart in seconds. The crew screamed as their ship split in two, fire burning through the void. The Empire had never seen such a weapon. Their technology was old, but they had never prepared for raw physics turned into fury. Humans had built railguns that could throw death faster than light could blink. The admiral ordered counterfire. Hundreds of cannons lit the darkness. Beams cut across space. Explosions shook the void, but no human ships were on the radar. Nothing to hit. Then came another strike. Another ship shattered. Then another. The Empire's mighty warships died one by one, their wreckage glowing red in the night. Panic spread across the fleet. Where are they? Show us the enemy, officers cried. But humans did not fight with grand parades. They fought with silence, shadows, and precision. Hidden stations, cloaked drones, and kinetic fire tore through the Armada. Suddenly the comms filled with a voice, calm, steady, and cold. You were warned. This is your answer. It was human, yet it felt like thunder rolling across the stars. The Empire's admiral tried to reply. We are the rulers of the galaxy. You cannot. His words were cut short as another blast smashed his flagship. Fire swallowing the bridge. Soldiers screamed. Officers begged for retreat. The fleet turned back, trying to escape. But navigation twisted again. Human interference bent their systems. Their maps spun with false signals. Every attempt to flee led them deeper into the trap, through the chaos. Human drones appeared at last, small, black, sharp as knives. They moved faster than the eye could follow, slicing through engines, planting charges, ripping ships apart. For the first time, the Empire saw the hunters, and they understood the truth. Earth was no child holding a stick. It was a predator with teeth of iron. Hours passed, and the 100 warships of the Empire burned. Only fragments remained, drifting silently across human space. No survivors, no glory, only shame. And when silence returned, a single transmission was sent to the Galactic Council, not from the Empire, but from Earth. We do not seek war, the message said, but if you bring it to us, we will end it. The galaxy trembled. Across distant systems, leaders whispered, how could a young world hold such fury? But the Emperor did not whisper. His rage boiled. They have killed 2 of our fleets. They will pay. We will gather every ship, every weapon, and we will erase them. Yet in the shadows of Earth, humans were already preparing for the storm. Silent factories deep under oceans, hidden fleets buried in asteroid fields, weapons waiting for release. For humanity had learned long ago, arrogance is the enemy of survival, and Earth would never bow again. This was only the 2nd chapter, and the fire was just beginning. The gathering armada of the Empire had lost 2 fleets, first the scouts, then the 100 warships. Silence followed both defeats. No survivors, no messages, only wreckage and rumors. Yet pride blinded their eyes. Instead of asking why, they shouted, "For vengeance!" The Emperor stood before the High Council, his golden robes heavy with jewels. Anger burned in his voice. Humans think they can humiliate us. They think they can strike our fleets and remain untouched. We will show them the power of an empire that has ruled for thousands of years. His words thundered through the halls, and the council bowed in agreement. None dared to speak of caution. None dared to mention the warnings. Pride had become their chain. Orders spread like fire. Every shipyard in the empire roared to life. Titanic dreadnoughts left their docks. Carriers launched fighters by the thousands. Supply lines stretched across stars. Planets emptied their minds to build more weapons. The greatest fleet the galaxy had ever seen began to gather. Not 100 ships, not 1,000, but 10,000. From frozen moons came armored frigates. From desert worlds came missile destroyers. From ancient shipyards came cruisers with guns that could split asteroids. It was a sea of steel and fire, a wave meant to drown Earth. Citizens cheered in the streets. They sang songs of war. They painted human skulls on banners, believing the coming war would be easy, believing the empire could not fail. Yet whispers spread in secret corners. Traitors spoke of shadows near the border. Smugglers whispered of human drones moving like ghosts. One old general muttered, "If 2 fleets are gone, what makes you think 10,000 will survive?" But his words were buried under roars of arrogance. The armada gathered near the edge of human space. Stars filled with engines burning bright. The fleet stretched farther than eyes could see. Their numbers blocked constellations. Their cannons pointed forward. The admiral chosen to lead them stood on the bridge of the largest dreadnought, his armor black, his eyes cold. He had never lost a war, and he believed he never would. "Earth will fall," he told his officers. "Our firepower will crush their defenses in ours." But Earth was not silent, hidden in shadows. Human ships tracked every movement. Stations buried deep in asteroid belts recorded every engine flare, every weapon test, every command sent through alien channels. The humans did not boast, they did not cheer. They prepared in secret facilities beneath oceans. New weapons awakened. Railguns longer than cities loaded their first rounds. Drones sharper than knives unfolded their wings. Fleets hidden in the Oort cloud powered up engines that had been silent for decades. Earth remembered history. They remembered being mocked. They remembered being invaded in ages past, and they swore never again. A council met beneath the mountains of Earth. No golden robes, no jewels, only simple suits and tired faces. Leaders of nations and admirals of fleets sat together, the air heavy with silence. Finally one spoke. "The Empire is gathering a storm." Another replied, "Then we must be the thunder." Signals spread across human networks. Orders sent. With precision, no panic, only preparation. Factories ran without sleep. Soldiers trained in silence. And every child on Earth knew the storm was coming. But unlike the Empire, humans did not believe victory was easy. They believed victory must be earned with blood, sweat, and unity. As the alien armada finished its gathering, the galaxy itself trembled. Never before had so many warships gathered in one place. Traitors fled the region. Smaller empires whispered of the coming war. Some prayed the humans would fall quickly. Others hoped they would survive. For if Earth could resist, then the galaxy's balance of power would change forever. The alien admiral gave the final order. His voice spread across every channel. Set course for Earth. And like a tidal wave of fire, the armada moved. Stars disappeared behind their numbers. Engines lit the void brighter than suns. Their confidence was iron. Their pride was unshaken. But deep in the silence of space, Earth's fury was waiting, and soon the Empire would learn the cost of arrogance. This was only the beginning of the true war, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The hidden power, the alien armada moved like a storm across the void. 10,000 ships, their engines blazing, their cannons locked. They believed Earth would be crushed in hours. They believed humanity was a small flame ready to be blown out. Yet in the silence of space, Earth waited, hidden, watching, preparing to strike. Deep inside the asteroid belts, human war stations awakened. They had been sleeping for years, disguised as rocks drifting in orbit, but now their shells opened, revealing black steel and glowing cores. Railguns longer than mountains locked into position. Drones like swarms of knives stretched their wings, invisible to sensors, silent as shadows. On Earth itself, leaders stood in underground chambers, their faces pale but steady. One admiral spoke. "The Empire has gathered more ships than any war in history," another answered. "Then we will show them a weapon they cannot imagine." The alien armada crossed into human space. Banners of war spread across their channels. Songs of victory echoed among their soldiers. The admiral of the Empire raised his hand. "Fire on sight," he commanded. The first wave of cannons lit. The darkness, beams and missiles tearing through the void, but nothing was there. No human ships to be found. "Cowards," the admiral spat. "They hide. They fear us." Then it began. A silence deeper than space itself rolled across the battlefield. Sensors flickered. Lights dimmed. Navigation systems froze. The Empire's ships trembled. And then from nowhere, the first railgun round struck. A piece of metal, no larger than a car but moving faster than thought. It pierced a cruiser from bow to stern, splitting it apart like paper, before screams even ended. Another round struck. Then another. Ships exploded one after another, as if the stars themselves had turned against the Armada. The Empire fired. Back their cannons filled the night with fire, but every shot missed. Their targets were ghosts, invisible, untouchable. Then came the drones, hundreds, then thousands. Black specks darting between warships, cutting through hulls, planting charges, vanishing before sensors could react. Soldiers screamed as explosions tore decks apart. Admirals shouted for order, but order was gone, replaced by chaos. Suddenly, the humans revealed themselves, ships unlike anything the Empire had ever seen. Sleek, sharp, moving faster than light could follow. They did not fight like empires, they fought like predators, striking fast, vanishing, striking again. The Empire had numbers, but numbers meant nothing when every formation broke apart under invisible fury. On the bridge of the alien flagship, the admiral slammed his fists. How can they hold such power?" his officers whispered. "They are supposed to be young, weak, not like this." But the truth spread across their faces. Earth had hidden its strength. Earth had built weapons in silence. Earth had prepared for this day, then came the weapon the galaxy had never seen. Gravity itself bent. A pulse rolled across the battlefield. Ships twisted, their hulls crushed inward. Their engines collapsed into themselves. An entire squadron vanished into a hole of nothing, torn apart not by fire, but by the weight of space itself. "Impossible," the admiral gasped, watching his fleet die not by weapons of war, but by the laws of the universe turned against him. The Empire's ships broke formation. Fear spread faster than commands. Captains shouted to retreat. Others fired blindly. But it was too late. The trap was complete. Every move the Armada made, humans were there first, cutting them off. Breaking them apart, what was meant to be a sea of steel became a graveyard of wreckage. Burning ships drifting in silence in the underground chamber on Earth, one leader whispered. "They mocked us, they ignored us. Now they will remember us." And another replied, "This is not only for Earth. This is for every world they crushed." Before us, hours passed, and the greatest armada in history burned. What was meant to show the Empire's glory became the mark of its shame. The survivors fled, their ships limping, their voices filled with terror. But even as they ran, the voice of Earth filled their channels once again. Calm, steady, unshaken. "We warned you, but you would not listen," the Empire had thought, themselves eternal. But now they knew, hidden beneath the blue skies of Earth was a fury greater than empires. And the galaxy began to whisper, "The humans are not weak, the humans are not prey, the humans are something else." And this was Only the first revelation of Earth's hidden power, more was yet to come. The shattered pride the Empire had sent its greatest armada, 10,000 ships forged by centuries of conquest. Yet now only wreckage drifted in human space. Burning hulks floated like broken lanterns, the void filled with the silence of defeat. The survivors staggered back, engines damaged, shields broken. Their voices filled the channels with fear. "Retreat, retreat, save us," captains cried. The admiral of the fleet, once proud and unshaken, now sat on his shattered bridge, smoke filling the air, his eyes hollow. "This was not war," he whispered. "This was slaughter." For the first time in centuries, the Empire tasted humiliation. Their banners once raised in triumph now hung heavy with shame. Their citizens who had cheered for conquest now watched broken ships limp home on the capital world. Silence spread across the plazas. The great screens showed no victory. Only lists of the dead. Only faces of officers who would never return. In the High Council, voices clashed. Some demanded more war. "We must not bow to humans, we must strike again with more power, with more fire." Others trembled. "If we continue, we may lose the Empire itself." But the Emperor's pride was unbroken. His voice thundered across the chamber. "We are the Empire. We do not surrender to children. We will rebuild, stronger than before." Yet, whispers spread beyond the council. Whispers the Emperor could not silence. Traitors spoke of humans as hunters. Smugglers told stories of invisible weapons. Smaller empires listened and wondered. If Earth can defeat them, perhaps we too can stand against the Empire. Fear began to shift, not toward humans but toward the Empire itself. Cracks appeared in its image of eternal strength. Meanwhile, humanity did not celebrate. There were no parades, no loud declarations. In the shadows of hidden bases they worked silently, repairing drones, reloading railguns, preparing for the next wave. On Earth's surface, families gathered under quiet skies, knowing their sons and daughters fought among the stars, yet believing for the first time that humanity could not only survive, but triumph. A meeting took place in the underground chambers. The human council sat in silence. Finally, one admiral spoke. "Their pride is broken, but their rage will drive them back. They will not stop. Not until they are destroyed or we are." Another replied, "Then we must be ready to strike harder, to show them there is no path left but retreat." In alien space, the survivors of the Armada brought back stories no one wanted to hear. Stories of ships torn apart by invisible fire. Stories of gravity crushing fleets. Stories of a voice that spoke like judgment. Soldiers wept in the streets. Families demanded answers. How can humans do this, they asked. How can a young race hold such fury? But no answers came, only fear. The Emperor ordered silence. He commanded the media to speak of bravery, not defeat. He ordered parades for the survivors, banners waved, speeches filled the air. But even the citizens could see the truth in the faces of their broken warriors. This was not victory. This was ruin. The galaxy itself began to change. Rulers of other empires met in secret, their voices low. If humanity can destroy the Empire's greatest fleet, then perhaps the Empire is not eternal. Some saw opportunity, others saw danger, but all agreed on one truth. Earth could no longer be ignored. In the dark of space, human fleets moved silently, not to boast, but to watch, to strike if needed. Their captains spoke little, their soldiers trained without rest. One young officer whispered to her crew, "We are no longer the hunted, we are the hunters." And her words spread like fire through the ranks. The Empire's pride was shattered, but their fury was not gone. In their anger they would gather again, in their desperation they would strike harder, but the galaxy had already changed. The myth of human weakness was dead, replaced by a new truth whispered in every corner of space. Earth warned them. They ignored it. And now their fleets are nothing but wreckage. This was the dawn of something greater, and the galaxy trembled. For the storm was not over, it was only growing. The Council, in fear the Galactic Council, was ancient, its halls older than many stars. For ages they had ruled the galaxy with laws and fear. They had watched empires rise and fall, but never before had they felt a tremor like this. News of the shattered Armada spread like fire, the greatest fleet in history destroyed, not by an empire older than time, but by Earth, a young world the Council had once dismissed as unworthy. In the Grand Chamber, representatives gathered, their robes heavy, their voices sharp. Banners of 100 species filled the walls. The air shook with arguments. One elder shouted, "The humans are dangerous if they can break the Empire's Armada. They can break us too." Another answered, "Nonsense, they are only one planet, they cannot face us all." But doubt lived in every corner. Fear twisted every word. A holo screen lit up in the center of the chamber, showing images of burning wreckage, pieces of the Empire's fleet drifting lifeless. The council members stared in silence, some with disbelief, some with terror. "How?" one whispered. "How can a race so young build such weapons?" Reports were read aloud. Scouts described weapons that bent gravity, drones invisible to sensors, railguns that pierced through shields as if they were glass. Every description made the chamber colder. "These are not toys of children," one voice said. "These are the tools of predators," some leaders demanded. "Action. We must unite, gather our fleets, crush them before they grow stronger." But others shook their heads and risked the same fate as the Empire. "Do you wish to see our fleets burned as well?" The arguments grew louder. Fear battled with pride, but no decision came. Outside the chamber, rumors spread. Smaller empires began to whisper of rebellion. Old vassals of the council asked, "If the Empire can fall, why should we kneel?" The very foundation of galactic power began to crack, not because of human words, but because of human silence. On Earth, leaders watched these debates from afar. Hidden eyes and spies carried every whisper back. In underground chambers, humans listened to council arguments. An admiral of Earth spoke softly. "They are afraid. They will turn on each other before they turn on us." Another replied, "Fear is more powerful than any weapon we fire." But humanity was not careless. They did not celebrate. They prepared. Even more fleets expanded, new weapons tested, alliances considered. In the quiet of space, human captains told their crews, "We do not fight for conquest. We fight for survival, and survival means strength." Back in the council, fear reached its peak. A representative slammed the table, his voice trembling. "If the humans march beyond their border, nothing will stop them." The chamber fell silent, for none could answer. Finally, the high speaker, ancient and wise, rose slowly, his voice heavy with dread. "The humans warned us, and we did not listen. Now the galaxy itself must decide. Do we continue to provoke them, or do we accept that they are no longer prey?" The words echoed across the chamber. No one spoke after, for the truth was too sharp to deny. The humans had risen, and the galaxy itself trembled. That night, in countless worlds, citizens spoke in whispers. Some feared Earth, others admired it, but all agreed on one truth: the galaxy had changed forever, and in the shadows of Earth, humanity was ready not just to defend, but to remind the galaxy once more. "We warned you," and the greatest fear of the Council was not only Earth's power, but Earth's silence, for silence meant the humans were still preparing, and no one knew what would come next. This was the fear that lived in every hall, every empire, every leader's heart. The storm was not over. It was only waiting for the final strike. The final message: the galaxy had never been so quiet. Trade routes slowed. Empires kept their fleets close to home. Even pirates hid in silence. All feared the same thing: the next move of Earth. The Empire, once proud, now limped in shame. Its worlds filled with whispers of defeat. Its people asked questions their rulers could not answer. The Galactic Council met again and again, but no decisions came. Every time the same fear returned. If we push them, we may be destroyed. And then it happened. A signal spread across the stars, not hidden, not whispered, but open. Every empire, every station, every ship in the galaxy received it at once. The screen turned black. A single human figure appeared, not dressed in armor, not crowned in jewels, but simple, calm, steady. His voice was clear, without anger, without pride, but carrying weight heavier than steel. "We warned you," he said. "We told you to stay away. We asked for peace. You answered with fire." The galaxy held its breath. No one spoke, no one moved. The voice continued. "You sent fleets, you sent threats, you mocked us, and now your fleets are gone. Wreckage floating in silence." Behind the figure, the screen shifted, showing images of destroyed armadas, burning wreckage, shattered flagships. Drifting into the void, the voice did not shout, but every word struck like thunder. "We do not seek war, we do not seek conquest. But understand this, Earth will not bow. Earth will not break if you bring your war to us again. We will end it before it begins." Across the galaxy, billions listened, rulers trembled, soldiers clenched their fists, children whispered in fear. The message continued, softer now, almost, gentle. "Leave us in peace or face the fury you have already seen. The choice is yours." The screen went dark. Silence returned. But it was not the silence of space. It was the silence of fear. In the Empire, the Emperor raged. His voice thundered through his halls. But even he could not erase what his people had heard. Some of his generals whispered of surrender. Others spoke of waiting. None spoke of attacking again. Their pride was broken, their power shattered. In smaller empires, rulers met in secret. Some said, Earth must be avoided. Others said, perhaps Earth could be an ally. But all agreed on one truth. Humanity had changed the order of the galaxy. On Earth, in the underground chambers, leaders watched in silence. The message had been sent, not to conquer, but to warn. An admiral spoke. "They will fear us now." Another replied, "Fear is not our goal. Survival is." In the training halls, soldiers prepared for the next war, though none knew if it would come. In the factories hidden under oceans and mountains, weapons continued to be built, not for show, but for readiness. And in the quiet night skies of Earth, families looked up at the stars not with fear but with pride. For humanity had stood against the greatest armada in history and endured. The galaxy would remember this moment, the day a young world spoke, and every empire listened, the day humans turned arrogance into wreckage, the day Earth delivered its final message. And that message was simple. We warned you.